avocado to grapeseed, sunflower to soy. There's a broader variety of oils to choose from than ever before. But which should I pick to dress my salad and which to cook with? Well, apparently not all oils are created equal. Depending on how they're made, they can be divided into two main groups. Refined oils like canola, rice bran, soya and sunflower are extracted using heat and a solvent. The resulting crude oil is then bleached and deodorized. Unrefined oils include extra virgin olive oil, avocado, sesame and macadamia. They are generally cold pressed, which means they are mechanically squeezed from their source. And whether an oil is refined or unrefined actually makes quite a difference to its qualities. Firstly, the taste. I'd like for you to take a piece of bread and try each of these oils and tell me which one you prefer. We've got 4 varieties of oil. Samples 1 and 2 are highly refined.
Can't really taste it all.
Can't really taste it?
No.
Those two are quite bland, just sort of oily. I don't taste that much.
Samples 3 and 4 are the unrefined oils.
Stronger flavour. Yeah,
I like that one. That's a little bit sweeter.
The most taste is in this one.
So the method used to make an oil really does make a difference to its taste. But when choosing what type of oil to cook with, there's something else to consider.
Smoke point's important because when an oil starts to smoke, it's breaking down. This generates nasty flavour compounds. First up is rice bran oil, a highly refined oil, 50 millilitres into the pot like that. Okay, starting to smoke now, so let's take it off the heat and have a look at the temperature. There we are, 235, 240 centigrade. That's high. So this is typical of a highly refined oil. These are suitable for high temperature cooking, such as deep frying. Now, extra virgin olive oil is an unrefined oil. That means there's free fatty acids and other flavour compounds floating around in there that give the oil the distinctive taste that you pay for. But at the same time, they cause the oil to smoke at a much lower temperature. Okay, there she goes. Now, let's check the temperature of this one. What do we got here? Oh, around about 190 degrees. So unrefined oils with low smoke points are not the best choice for high temperature cooking. And there's another reason, I'll show you why. Oils with a low smoke point also have a low flash point. Translation, they catch fire easily.
And just a minute or two after the extra virgin started to smoke...
Whoa, we have ignition. Kids, this is seriously dangerous. Do not do this at home.
As well as posing a fire hazard, unrefined and semi-refined oils will lose their flavour when heated to high temperatures. So they're best saved for salads, dips and low temperature cooking, like gentle frying for fish. But while it's generally true that refined oils are better for high heat cooking, deep fry fans will want to avoid sunflower and soya oils. These oxidise easily, and after a few uses in the fryer, they'll develop a rancid taste. Long-term exposure to these bad-tasting compounds has been linked to heart disease and cancer. So when the oil in a deep-fat fryer starts to taste bad, it's time to change it. I've also heard heating any vegetable oils too high can generate trans fats, the worst type of fat for your heart. Is that true? No, it's not. Actually, with frying or cooking, like baking for example, you'd have to heat the vegetable oil to 240 degrees for 16 hours to convert less than 1% of it to trans fat. And by then, it wouldn't be the only reason to reject your creation. But while most home cooks needn't be concerned, Barbie fanatics should be. And that's because of compounds called polynuclear aromatic hydrocarbons. These harmful compounds are generated when cooking oil or fat from meat falls into the flames of the barbecue.
A lot of men, when they cook in the barbecue, they have flames bursting out of the meat or the sausages. Not a good look.
So why should we be concerned?
Polynuclear aromatic hydrocarbons can alter the nature of our cells in the body, and they also can be, in the longer term, cancer-producing. The black tarry residue that we see is probably full of polynuclear aromatic hydrocarbons. That's what we don't want to ingest.
The compounds could also be in black build-up on grill pans or shelves of conventional ovens. However, levels are likely to be far lower than in Barbie gunk and pose little threat to your health. So while you may love Tababi, you run the risk of cancer if you make a habit of eating off it every day. To minimise the risk, make sure the grill's clean and keep the heat on medium. Your saucies will thank you too. All oils are 100% fat, so whatever they're made from, they're all equally fattening. But some oils contain good fats and others contain bad. Saturated fats are bad because they affect our blood cholesterol levels, and that affects our chances of getting coronary heart disease.
Saturated fat raises blood cholesterol. Polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fats, when they replace saturated fat, they lower blood cholesterol.
So cooking oils high in poly or monounsaturated fats and low in saturated fat are best for us.
Vegetable oils tend to be higher in mono and polyunsaturated fats, whereas the hard fats, the things like butter and lard and tallow, those are very high in saturated fats.
But there are a couple of exceptions. Palm oil is actually higher in saturated fat than tallow, and coconut oil is higher than butter. Of the commonly available cooking oils, canola has the least saturated fat at 7%, followed by sunflower at 10%, while all types of olive oil have around 14%. However, to look after your heart, you have to be spread savvy too.
A well-oiled machine can be a real positive here on the racetrack, but too much oil in the human body is not so good.
I should have got a taxi. We're going to give 6 butter-loving race car mechanics a healthy oil change.
I normally eat butter on like my roast potatoes, sweet corn, put it on my toast and put it on my bread.
Sandwiches, either breakfast, lunch, tea.
Bit of corn on the cob, nothing really matches the taste.
While it may be tasty, at 50% saturated fat, butter may raise cholesterol. Table spreads, on the other hand, are made from vegetable oils, so are low in saturated fat and should lower cholesterol if used in place of butter. We're going to swap out the butter from our mechanics' diets and switch in 3 different types of table spread. Sydney and Dave will use a canola spread. Matt and Gareth will stick to olive spread, and Sam and Glenn will use a sunflower spread with a twist. It contains plant sterols, which we'll explain more about later. We'll measure our mechanics' cholesterol now and then come back in 5 weeks to measure it again.
Will our spreads help our mechanics' engines to run more efficiently? I'll be at the finish line to find out.
Coming up, European extra virgin olive oils are world-renowned, but are locally produced brands actually a better buy? And could oils from GM crops be on our shop shelves? I found out refined oils are good for high-temperature cooking, while unrefined oils are best for flavour.
But olive oil can apparently be one or the other, depending on whether it's described as pure, light, virgin or extra virgin. So what's the difference between varieties?
Well, we spent over $33 million on olive oil last year, more than twice as much as on any other oil, and extra virgin is traditionally the most expensive variety. I'm off to visit Leanne Chinnery, owner of the Divinity Olive Grove in Northland, who's going to fill me in on why extra virgins are cut above the rest.
So Leanne, Divinity only makes extra virgin olive oil. What is it about the oil that is extra virgin? Is it the type of olives that are used?
No, it's actually not. It's the chemical attributes of the olive and also the way in which the oil is pressed.
Both virgin and extra virgin oils are cold pressed, so they're extracted from the olives without heat or solvents.
There's nothing added, so it actually is really pure.
Hence the term virgin.
Absolutely.
Not violated in any way at all.
No.
So what's the difference then between virgin and extra virgin?
Right, the difference is really just the acidity levels in the oil.
Extra virgin is less acidic than virgin olive oil, which means it should be far fruitier.
Is olive oil the same as wine in that it ages well, and the older it is, sometimes the better?
No, actually, quite the opposite. Fresh is best. We recommend that oil be consumed 2 years after pressing.
So there are a couple of things to watch out for when buying extra virgin olive oil.
Consumers should look for olive oils that have a pressed on date and usually buy within that same pressing year. You also shouldn't buy oils in clear bottles because light plays a key role in degrading olive oil.
Imported extra virgin olive oils travel further to reach our shop shelves. So does that make them less fresh than domestic brands? We tested a variety of oils to find out. The lower in acid an oil is, the fresher the flavour, and all the domestic brands contained less than any which were imported. So while European olive oil is world-renowned, you might be better off sticking with locally produced for the freshest taste. So that's the skinny on extra virgin. But is pure olive oil even purer still?
Pure olive oil means that the oil has been refined either by physical or chemical heating, and what that does is it results in an oil that has no distinctive flavour or aroma or taste.
And the same is true of light olive oil. So pure and light olive oils are good for high heat cooking. Fact or fiction? Light olive oil is lower in fat and a good choice for the weight conscious.
Light olive oils aren't healthier for you. What the light refers to is that it's lighter in colour and taste. You've got to remember that all oil is 100% fat, so it's going to pack the same kilojoule punch.
But with a history dating back to ancient Greece, olive oils have long been renowned for their health properties. So, do they deserve their rep? Well, extra virgin olive oil contains polyphenols, which refining removes in most other oils. These natural chemical compounds are believed to have significant health benefits. Olive oil is also a fundamental ingredient of the Mediterranean diet, which has been linked to lower rates of heart disease, diabetes and breast cancer.
However, a recent French study suggests this doesn't prove olive oil is healthier than others. It put a group of heart attack victims on the Mediterranean diet with one major difference. Canola replaced the olive oil.
The effects at reducing heart disease risk in that study were dramatic. More than a 50% reduction in heart disease risk.
So, canola and other oils low in saturated fat may actually be just as good for your heart as olive oil.
To be quite honest, we didn't cook with any oil. We cooked with dripping.
Dripping. When you have a roast, the fat comes off it.
And it's got a lovely flavour. My boys used to like it on bread. Very bad for the diet, but very nice.
These days, there are plenty of healthy spreads and oils to choose from. As I've heard, canola is among the best of these. It's our second most popular oil. So I've popped over the ditch to Australia, where we import most of ours from. Gay Marshall farms this versatile crop in New South Wales.
Those are some impressive looking silos you've got there. What's in them?
Well, this is what actually is in it, this canola here. That's all the seed.
The seeds are harvested from a bright yellow strain of rapeseed. Perhaps unsurprisingly, its name was changed to canola, standing for Canadian Oil Low Acid because, you guessed it, it's a Canadian invention and low in acid. As well as being low in saturated fat, canola is high in omega-3, a type of polyunsaturated fat known to reduce the risk of heart disease and some cancers. But fish oils have over 3 times more omega-3s than canola oil. However, things could be about to change. In Australia, genetic modification promises to deliver a nutritional super oil containing a type of omega-3 that's a lot more easily absorbed.
One of the drivers for omega-3 in fish oil is coming from the algae in the ocean. So if we're able to identify the enzyme in the algae that's triggering that omega-3 creation, then we're able to mimic that gene and look at putting that into some plant-based foods like canola or soybean.
GM oils with enhanced nutritional qualities are not on shop shelves yet, but canola oil from genetically modified crops may be.
The basic driving force for the original genetic modification of vegetable oilseed crops is to be herbicide resistant.
In theory, less herbicides need to be used to control weeds, saving the farmer money, so it's proving an increasingly popular option for soy and canola farmers. In Australia, GM rapeseed has risen from 1 to 10% of the total crop in just 3 years. And in Canada, the world's second largest producer, 80% of canola is GM. But the rise of GM crop farming has caused environmental problems. Weeds are developing a natural resistance to the herbicides. In the US, it's estimated there's now 11 million acres of these so-called superweeds. Many non-GM farmers, gay included, also fear their crops will be contaminated.
If our next door neighbour goes and grows GM and we have no intention of ever having GM on our property, our choice is taken away.
And if oil from GM crops is on our shelves, it's currently impossible to tell which brands these are.
All the concerns basically about GM foods are related to the protein and hence to the foreign DNA. There is no protein or DNA left in processed deodorised oils. Zero.
And you don't have to label for an ingredient that's not actually in a product. But is this missing the point?
A lot of consumers do want to know if the product they're buying has been made from a genetically modified crop. So we think it's important that the information is on the label, even though there's no GM ingredients left in the final product.
Currently, there are no plans to change the labelling laws, so the only way to find out whether an oil is made from a GM crop is to call the manufacturer.
If they can't provide you with an answer you're happy with, then buy another brand that can.
Coming up, will the switch from butter to table spread reduce our race mechanics cholesterol? And you'll be shocked to find out what's hidden in most table spreads.
I don't like the idea at all.
I've learnt that oils made from GM crops aren't labelled, but that this controversial science may soon deliver nutritional super oils. So can we expect nutritionally enhanced table spreads too? Well, some manufacturers claim they already exist.
Plants produce a kind of cholesterol, and we call them plant sterols. And what happens is that when we consume those plant sterols, they prevent cholesterol from being absorbed.
In fact, it's claimed that spreads with added plant sterols can reduce cholesterol by 10%. But how much do I need to use?
You have to have at least 25 grams a day for them to work. They're very effective in reducing cholesterol levels.
And we calculated 25 grams is around the amount you'd eat on 4 slices of toast.
It's time to find out if spreads are winning the race against cholesterol!
For the last 5 weeks, the lads have given up butter for a supercharged spreads diet. So how have you all found swapping your butter for spreads?
It's not too bad, it's bearable, just.
Yeah, the results are good, I'll continue on. But I suppose if it is a good result, you probably wish that you did it years ago.
Well, when it came to finishing results, only 2 of our 6 mechanics saw an improvement, with their good cholesterol levels rising and bad cholesterol levels falling. And mixed results for the plant sterol spread. Sam's cholesterol has improved, but Glenn's actually got worse. While our experiment proved inconclusive, there's a huge amount of research which suggests the boys' cholesterol will drop if they stick with table spreads in the long term. But table spreads haven't always been such an obvious heart-healthy choice. Many used to have high levels of trans fat, the worst for cholesterol. Most brands now contain less than 1% trans fat, but one way many manufacturers have made the reduction is by using another controversial ingredient, palm oil. Palm oil is plentiful and cheap. But the industry also has a reputation for environmental devastation, pushing endangered species like the orangutan closer to the brink of extinction. The UN ranks the palm oil industry as the leading cause of rainforest destruction in Malaysia and Indonesia. And choosing a palm oil-free table spread is tricky because it's allowed to be listed generically as vegetable oil. In fact, of the 30 spreads we found which listed vegetable oil as an ingredient, we discovered 28 contained up to 17% palm oil. Just the Alpha 1 rice bran oil spreads didn't contain any. In 2009, Cadbury was forced to remove palm oil from its dairy milk chocolate after a public outcry. So it's a bit of a surprise to find it in so many spreads. But I wonder how many of us know that. Of these products, which one of them do you think has palm oil in it?
Say the chocolate?
It could be the chocolate, but I don't know which one of these ones it would be without, I suppose, reading the label.
It's actually the table spread.
Ah, that would concern me.
It's in the table spread.
Yep. Ooh.
And so how do you feel about the fact that it's in most of the commonly bought table spreads in this country?
I don't like the idea at all.
I think it's really bad. What I think is worse, that people are so ignorant of that fact. It's like you've been asleep while you're eating your food or something like that.
We asked the makers of the spreads containing palm oil if it's sourced from environmentally sound producers. Foodstuffs, the makers of the Pams and budget table spreads, replied,
"Our buyers work with suppliers to source sustainable products whenever commercially viable."
Progressive told us the amount of certified sustainable palm oil currently available satisfies less than 7% of global demand, but that it was committed to using only this by 2015. Unilever, makers of Flora and Bertolli brands, assured us they have made the same commitment, as did Goodman Fielder, the latter adding,
"No palm oil is sourced from areas such as Borneo and Sumatra where deforestation is occurring."
If you're concerned about making a green choice, contact the manufacturer of your table spread and let them know how you feel. So, what have I learned about oils and table spreads? Well, unrefined oils tend to be big on taste, but are not suitable for high temperature cooking, while the reverse is true of refined oils. Regardless of type, I'll store all my oils in a cool, dark place. When I'm cooking on the barbecue, I'll make sure that it's clean. And while I'm keen to use a table spread for the sake of my heart, I'll make sure the brand I choose contains environmentally friendly oils.